Well, I got good news for you, bud.
What's that?
Well, at least recording this week, you don't have to worry about the amazing vibration function that my previous phone had.
You got to tell everybody what you did. It was after we recorded a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I was tired. Legs were worn out from long shifts, working and whatnot. I'm like, well, I'm going to get in the hot tub. I have the phone that I had before the last one that I designated as the hot tub phone. I was just going to use it there because it's close enough to the house. It gets Wi-Fi. I can do anything to do while I'm in the tub. And, I figured.
Wait, how do you switch it to just be the hot tub phone?
So I was going to use Cracky as the hot tub phone. For obvious reasons, it's cracky.
The screen is cracked.
Without a SIM card, you can get Wi-Fi and you can run apps, obviously. You just can't do phone shit. But I kept forgetting to charge the son bitch. And so Cracky never made its full destination as a hot tub phone. And so the main phone ended up being the hot tub phone. And the main phone slid through my hands and took a plunge. And now we're on Cracky until the backup comes, or the replacement, whatever you want to call it. But I did order, just so everyone can rest at peace here, I have another iPhone SE coming.
How'd you find another iPhone SE?
I looked high, low, up, down, all around. Hopefully these people at eBay aren't lying to me, but there should be Gold is Best version 2 coming soon.
How much did they charge you for the SE? I feel like that's so rare. It's like,
bucks.
That's it? $100?
Well, I apparently had some random eBay coupon. I don't know, but $100.
So how much was it supposed to be before the $100?
$105.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and with me is Zeke Baker virtually, but together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. Zeke, it's good to see your face through a virtual meeting.
When our powers combine, we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon.
What's the one for He-Man where it's something activate by the power of Grayskull? No, there's another one that's activate. Why can't I? Is it like Captain Planet? It's
a one-man show. It's not really applicable.
Maybe Captain Planet?
That one was the one. I was thinking about the Power Rangers too.
That is a good one. They brought the Power Rangers back, but nothing was like as awesomely bad as the first one.
It's like everything. Round 2 just doesn't ever add up.
The way that they were fighting, like the fighting was so bad that it was good. Like even at such a young age, I could recognize how bad the show was, but how awesomely bad it was.
Although, it's interesting. It's just like everything in the world, that second time around just doesn't work. Like it's like relationships, movies, like, if the first one F's up, you're just done. Just let it be, people. Let it be.
You don't think that people broke up and got back together and ended up getting married? You don't think it's going to work out?
I don't know of anything that's sustained.
Are you getting philosophical tonight?
Well, you give me an example there, buds.
I don't know. If you love something, let it go. If it comes back to you, it's yours.
Are you talking about going to Australia and learning how to throw a boomerang or something?
Maybe. Our friend Denver will teach me.
Although I could see Edwards in the boomerang. Throws it, goes up in the sky, he loses it in the sun, has no idea where it is. It comes back and smacks him in the back of the head.
I think it's really funny that you make me out to be this, but I'm not the jackass that drops my phone in a hot tub. I don't do stupid things like that.
No one's ever called me Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, the only person who's called me Wreck-It Ralph is me.
John, we both know there's no way anybody would ever let you in a china shop.
I'm just saying, I'm self-deprecating. You're just a jackass.
You also break a lot of shit.
What do I break?
How long did you have your truck before you tore up that quarter panel?
No, it was the bumper in the beginning, and I had it for a day. And my friend, my friend has a fire hydrant that's literally 6 inches off of the side of his driveway.
Let's not confuse it though. So it could be 6 inches off the driveway, but how high did it stand up, off the ground?
Way lower than I can see out of my truck.
Because I'm pretty sure that truck of yours has a 6-inch clearance on it.
It's got more than 6 inches.
Yeah, so don't go painting that picture like it was only 6 inches away.
No,
because everybody thinks the fire hydrant only sticks up that high.
No, the fire hydrant sticks up like 2 feet. There's no way I was clearing that over the bottom of my truck. I just didn't realize it was there. I was a jackass. Anyways, before we get started on this whiskey here, I want to let you know that today's show is sponsored by CaskCartel.com, changing the industry standard as to how you receive your alcohol. Right now, everybody's quarantined. More than ever, you're going to want your liquor shipped directly to your front door, and that's what Cask Cartel can do for you. They have whiskey, vodka, gin, rum, tequila, whatever it is, they have it. Go check them out at CaskCartel.com. Obviously, there's going to be some stuff that's priced a little higher there. It's a convenience play. You are paying to get this shipped directly to your door legally and not have to go out in all this mess. Obviously, we want to support local as much as we can, but we also want you all to be safe. Check out Cask Cartel. Also follow them on Instagram at Cask Cartel. They're always doing cool giveaways, and it's just a good time following them. Now we're going to get on to Wheel Horse Straight Rye Whiskey. It is made at OZ Tyler in Owensboro, Kentucky. It is bottled from Latitude Spirits. They actually have a company in Rhode Island that does this, but Latitude Spirits is based out of Boston. They have a number of different companies. They have a vodka company, a few wineries, and now they have Wheel Horse Rye. So this is a 95.5 rye. It's aged 2 to 3 years at OZ Tyler. It is distilled exclusively in copper stills, matured in a 53-gallon barrel, a minimum of 2 years. They age in the rickhouse that may have stood there for up to 90 years. They don't chill filter their whiskey. And batch 1 of this was put out in December of 2019, bottled at 101 proof, 50.5 ABV. And that's all we really need to know about it, Zeke.
I thought OZ Tyler was based in Missouri for some reason.
No, OZ Tyler is in Kentucky, but for a long time, OZ Tyler was a broker. They were selling a lot of people MGP. They bought up a bunch of barrels, and then they had their own stuff. And remember, they had that Terra Pura, the aging method, where they were trying to quickly age some stuff, and some of the stuff came out.
Cleveland both did that stuff.
Yeah. Now, this does not look like anything was done like that. I mean, this was 53-gallon barrels. I just think they're trying a lot of different things over there at OZ Tyler, and some of it's really working for them. Some of it, I think they're changing as they go and experimenting and trying new things, and more distilleries need to be doing that with the way that things are.
And I actually think probably a fair amount of places are. It's just the big boys, when they have something they don't consider a win, they have enough money from other streams to where they just dump that shit out. Nobody knows about it. And these smaller places are like, man, juice is juice, product's product. Somebody's paying. We're putting everything we can out the door and getting some money here.
Well, and we have to keep the lights on. The craft distillery has to keep the lights on. The bigger distillery, I mean, you almost wonder how much experimental stuff just got blended into products that we drink all the time.
I mean, I think so. Even it's funny, like, think about when we've been at Jack for picks. They don't give us a whole lot of details, but, Jack's rolled out new products, at least 5 in the past few years. And they've hinted that, we're actually keeping up with innovation and know what everybody else is doing. And we're constantly reevaluating and working on ways to expand and grow the brand and product line outside of just Jack Daniel's Black Label, 90, 94 proof or whatever. That,
no, it's 80 proof.
Jack and Coke. Oh, well, whatever it is. But somebody that big that obviously has a mainstay go-to that they know is going to sell every single year, but they're still out there, keeping their finger on the throttle.
Oh, heck yeah. But it's just hard when you have that old trusty, that 80 proof Jack Daniels that everybody sees the Black Label, thinks about Jack and Coke. We had talked about this a couple months ago. I had Jack Neat for the first time, I think, ever last year. It's not something I think you ever pick up and go like, oh yeah, let me have some Jack Neat. It's always Jack and Coke. The only Jack that I've ever had neat before then was, Gentleman Jack or a single barrel. It's just something you don't think of every day with their stuff, and that's okay. It's not knocking it. I just think that people that overlook some of those other products they're doing, like those single barrel proofs, they really don't know Jack, because there is some good stuff going on there.
You don't know Jack, bud.
So OZ Tyler, I mean, you have to commend them for what they're doing. I think it's interesting that you have an NDP out of my hometown putting out a rye whiskey. You have some distilleries that are up there. There's a distillery out of Maine and Split Rock. There's some that are coming out of Boston. There's that Boston Distilling Company. The person who started Sam Adams, the other partner of Sam Adams, went out and started a whiskey company that pays homage to beer. But there's not a lot of traditional whiskey distilleries in Boston.
Well, this isn't a distillery.
No, it's an NDP. It's an NDP, but I'm saying just anything.
Well, I mean, I've never been there, but I mean, I would assume there's not a plethora of land to set up facilities, have ricks, etc.
You could outside of the city.
Just throwing out my little tidbit of thought.
I'll take you there sometime.
I mean, I know New York State has plenty of, wide open spaces once you get outside of, NYC, like where Taconic is and whatnot. But being as Massachusetts is a much smaller state in general, I just assumed that overall there's not a whole lot of acreage and land for sale out there.
Have you been to, you obviously haven't, Western Mass is mountains, and there's a whole bunch of wide open space once you get past Worcester. But even within the greater Boston area, I would say 30 to 45 minutes out of Boston, you could find a place to put a distillery and rickhouses.
I would think, looking at maps, 30 to 45 minutes outside of Metro Boston, you're probably in a different state.
No, 45 minutes north could get you to New Hampshire. Just depends. I mean, if you go 45 minutes northwest, southwest, or west, you're still in the state.
Well, you can't put diagonals in there, son. Shit, that takes longer.
Well, I'm thinking about the highways that are run out of the city. What if the quickest route to a place is a straight line, and that straight line is diagonal?
Well, I'm talking about from being in the center and then going up, down, left, or right towards the border.
Well, if you went 30 minutes right, you're going to be in the middle of the harbor.
Well, there you go. I'll eat me a lobster.
So what do you think about this rye?
It jumped at me. And granted, I've been using this weed glass now for a few shows. I've always liked these little boogers. They're funny. I think they're great for tastings. Straight out the gate, it kind of jumped up at me as a big graham cracker kind of thing. Graham cracker with lots of cinnamon. And then behind it does give off some hints of being a little grassy. That's definitely secondary to the graham and cinnamon that comes off. Tasting wise, the first second or two, it really seemed flat. I didn't get much of anything. Then moving it around and letting it hit different parts of the tongue, it really seemed to follow the nose. The cinnamon actually moved in more prevalent than the sugars on it. And then there was some rye spice toward the back end. Not overwhelming. I was actually kind of surprised with proof. I would put it closer to 90 in my guesstimation, especially knowing it was younger. But the back end does have a fair spice and hug. It's really not overwhelming. So randomly, for whatever reason, while fighting some heartburn this evening, this gives me less issues than a 93 proof Yellowstone whiskey. I don't know. You thought the inverse being rye should obviously kick up those kind of issues, but that's where I am. And I would simply call this the gingerbread man.
It's funny. I do get a little bit of graham cracker, but everything was muted for me a little bit more on the nose for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I did get that familiar 95.5 pine and wintergreen as I let it sit a little bit longer. I got some floral notes in there too on the nose. When I tasted it, it's exactly what I would expect kind of from that 95.5. I didn't get as much graham and gingerbread as you did. I got more of the pine and wintergreen. The thing that surprised me, I think, on this is I did taste a little bit of oak in there too. I was very surprised to get that from a 2 to 3 year old whiskey. I think it might be the way they're aging things at OZ Tyler, but I did get a little hint of oak in there. Finish was fine. Nothing to say. It lingered. Wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. Wasn't too much. It was just enough.
Just saying 95.5 is a pretty broad statement. There's lots of 95.5 out there. We've had lots.
We just talked about this last show. You can't go back on what we said. There's signatures and stereotypes from a 95.5. Those were your words because I was editing it today.
Well, there are, but it's also can be all over the place. We've had one that tasted like gin. We've had them that tasted like grass. I mean, we had them that were hot.
I just got a little bit of the signature of it. The things that you would expect. Obviously there's variance, and we talked about that. I just think that.
So did you get the John, the E, or the Hancock?
It's Herbie Hancock. You obviously have not seen Tommy Boy.
I was just going by, they say, put your John Hancock right here.
Yeah, it's a question, and he's doing a test in Tommy Boy, and he goes, no, it's Herbie Hancock. Herbie Hancock is a famous musician. It was a funny
the real
joke.
signature is John E. Hancock, though, isn't it?
It's not John E. Hancock. It's just John Hancock. It's put your John Hancock on this. Another famous Bostonian.
Well, that's where I was going with this, and you just obliterated me.
I thought you would.
So which part of the signature did you get?
Probably the John and the Han. We left out the end. Anytime I can make Zeke go speechless, I know I said something good.
You didn't make me go speechless. I just had to think of how I could reformulate what I was thinking to where it would be acceptable for content.
We need to work on your dad humor.
I'm just going to assume you're following suit, and you're trying to get payback for things you aren't able to share either.
Probably. End of the day, this is about $28.
Oh man, good
for $28. Yeah, I have no complaints. They priced this very fair for 101 proof whiskey for the age it was. There's plenty of stuff that would come out for this that would be a heck of a lot more.
I would think this would be a bartender's go-to then. I mean, literally, like, you didn't get it, but I mean, from what I'm getting out of this distinct, cinnamons and sugars, a fair enough of a spice to know it's, you're working with something. MSRP is $28. A bar's probably getting this for 18 to 20 tops. There's some good maneuverability here with this.
Well, here's the question I have for you on this one is, do you think this ends up replacing Dickel Rye for some people? I mean, I don't know how much of this they produced, but at $28, this is a very good rye.
I can get different profiles. I really do.
I could see that, but elaborate.
And also, I don't know how many places have Dickel Rye as their go-to well. I mean, I don't know, literally. Without seeing some, like talking to some sales reps or, people that know the bar and restaurant, and I don't know how much of that stuff's being sold. I would assume Saz was a go-to rye, but who knows? All I can say is at $28, 101 proof, this is more than a fair rye. To me, easy to smell, easy to drink, ain't gonna hurt the wallet, and would be very cocktail friendly as well. So I don't see too many downsides to this one. Granted, I don't know what the bottle looks like, and if its labeling will be aesthetic enough to appease John, since he's only going to buy it if it looks cool and has some stats and stuff. But
no, that's not the case. But it's green and white,
fitting for rye. There's some weird like dome, Mr. Clean reflection thing in the background.
With a dent?
Oh, wait, that's you.
Yeah. No, I think there's some good stuff here.
It doesn't look to be too tall of a bottle, though, right?
No. Standard bottle.
Fits in the middle shelf easily. Where you'd think it would be. Like, I'm good there. What are your thoughts?
I think at $28, $27.99 MSRP, $28 roughly. I think it's an easy daily drinker rye. If you love rye, I think it's an easy drinker. If you don't always go to rye, but it's not too much of anything. It's just something that goes down. Like you said, I think one of the best ways to describe it is it's 101 proof, but it drinks like a 90. It's just an easy sipper. I don't think it has a whole bunch of that winter rye note to it because it's a lighter 101. They release it in December, but I think it's more like a March to May, June pour. It's more of a spring pour.
Analyze it. It's a little grassy at the back, but honestly, like most people, when they drink something, they're not going to sit there and analyze it that much. I mean, to me, it's one of those things like, if there's a rep doing an in-store tasting, folks just get their, basically communion-sized pours. They're just throwing that back. There's nothing you're going to pick up on a flash of this that makes you think, it's good.
Well, even if you buy it, I don't think you're going to regret it at that point. It's got enough flavor that you can make a cocktail out of it, but I think it's still good enough neat. It's versatile. It's priced right. Sign me up.
Versatile.
Styling and profiling.
You going to go Nature Boy on us?
Well, I'm just assuming you're going to woo sometime in this episode.
I don't make that woo, but you've critiqued my woo, so I want to see if you were going to go with a Nature Boy woo so I could see how well it added up.
No, because everybody's sleeping right now. I'm not wooing.
Because, I mean, I did get the WWE app and watch WrestleMania when I was
was that free?
Quarantine. Yeah. Well, you sign up. The first month's free. If you don't cancel, they charge you $9.99. So just like anything else, you just cancel it before they charge you.
So how was WrestleMania then?
It was a 2-night event.
These wrestlers obviously did not social distance.
Well, I mean, the wrestlers didn't, but there was no fan. They did it in the empty arena. So it was kind of awkward in that sense.
What arena did they do it in?
The training facility in Florida.
Oh, that place is nice, though.
I mean, it looked top notch. A lot more women wrestle now than when we were kids.
They did a whole big push. There was the Divas era, and then they moved into all these other. I mean, there was pay-per-view that was just women recently, and they've done a lot of awesome stuff that WWE has to give equal opportunity for women athletes as well as the male athletes. And a lot of it too, not to criticize or dissect wrestling, there's some people we'd have on. I'd love to have Matt on from Wrestling with Whiskey. I think that they've done a better job writing storylines for women as of, late. They didn't always give women the best storylines, and now they're actually coming up with some good stories for them. I mean, admittedly, I don't get to watch like I used to, but
I mean, is this what you read while you're on the shitter? Is like the storylines for the wrestling stuff?
Sometimes.
I'm not even touching that, by the way.
Sometimes I need a break from what's going on in the world. Typically, I read news and market stuff, and
I'm just going to slightly steer away from this, but not totally, and say that, I really think, speaking of storylines, you somewhat could have missed your calling, especially lately with all this, sciatica stuff you've had going on, et cetera.
Oh, no, I have a herniated disc. I don't have sciatica.
Well, so you're playing right into this then perfectly. I mean, just imagine that, there's the Big Cat, the wrestler. Big Cat gets hurt. What does Big Cat do on the side now? He's the manager for some female wrestlers. And occasionally, he's the guy that's standing there on the apron. And, when the ref's not looking, Big Cat sucker punches one or two of them, lights out. His chick wins.
I'm not
Don't mess with the Big Cat.
I am not gonna sucker punch a woman, but I'd hand another one a steel chair.
It's wrestling either way.
I'd hand the woman the steel chair while the ref was down. That's what I would do.
Oh, I was thinking you'd say you just hit him with a steel chair.
Or maybe what I do is when you trip up when they run and hit the ropes by you, and you just happen to trip them up.
Oh, exactly. There's all kinds of. I mean, that could have been you, man.
But I think I could be.
Bruce suit.
Can't you picture me as the next Percy Pringle, like the next guy who has the Undertaker and holds up the urn, and he's in the suit, and he's a chubby guy, and he's like, "Oh yes."
The fact you remembered Percy Pringle really bothers me.
Why? That's his name.
I mean, I don't doubt that it is, but there's just times when you reveal a little too much info. It's kind of like the time I've referenced this before where, say hypothetically, there's a group of some friends, watching a adult program on TV. And then you have the one random friend that all of a sudden just goes, "Oh, man, my grandma got a bed just like that." Nobody wants that reference.
I'm never going to give that reference.
I'm just saying the fact, remember that dude's name is along the same lines. Like, are you effing kidding me right now? Like, come on, where does this come from?
I mean, this is like sports knowledge. This is like how I could tell you rookies that came from a certain school for basketball, but just like that.
Although steering the ship back to somewhat in the middle, the Undertaker actually still wrestles.
Just for WrestleMania.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I watched this show after the show. But the fact the dude was alive and still going. He was wrestling when I was a kid, 92-ish probably. I mean, I remember when he first came out as Mean Mark. And then when he was part of the Horsemen. And then when he switched from the Horseman to the Undertaker, like, there's a big progression there. Like,
I just remember that Royal Rumble, I think it was 1994, when he had the casket match with Yokozuna, and Yokozuna and like 30 guys buried him in a casket. And then they had that crazy thing where he resurrected up from the casket. And when he got behind the Titantron, they did this thing that it looked like he was electrified. They had the video timed perfectly, but I just remember being a young kid and I couldn't sleep that night because I'm like, oh my God, the Undertaker died and then he rose up to the heavens and freaked me out.
Sometime we need to see if we can find the recording from Starrcade 94. I was there.
Well, I feel like we could talk about this for a long time, and these are definitely COVID conversations. But Zeke, all in all, I'm a buy on this. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. It almost has my gears spinning as well as what other NDPs are getting this OZ Tyler Rye. I mean, obviously, folks are able to get it and put it back out at a price point that's not hurting anybody. I think that could be an interesting play in the market. across multiple boards.
I definitely think that it could be something that would be interesting if people find out that OZ Tyler's doing some stuff. You could find some of these NDPs going out and maybe getting something that price-wise is more competitive. This was a very good rye for the price for me. So,
well, and two, I mean, we all look at, even within NDPs, we want to know where the juice come from. You and I both would admit, if we were to walk up to a bar and someone say, "Hey, yo, you want the MGP or the OZ Tyler?" We both know we would say MGP.
Maybe you start to think differently after tonight.
Hey, I'm going to rethink how I drink on this one.
Absolutely. On that note, also Zeke rethinks how he drinks by using a wee Glen in his tasting, and he got that from distilleryproducts.com. Distilleryproducts.com is probably the one place that if you go to any distillery and say, "Hey, where do you get your glasses?" they are going to say distilleryproducts.com. Janie, Carson, Vicky, all the good folks over there, they're coming up with awesome laser etched glasses at wholesale prices. They have the Glen, the wee Glen, the Tua, the neat glass, they have a rocks glass, a tipsy rocks, whatever it is, they have it, flask decanters. Check them out. If you want me to get you in touch with them, I'll be happy to do so. Distilleryproducts.com. They're great people. Zeke, people can find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Download us wherever you download your podcast. Please leave us an open and honest review like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Where else can the folks find us?
Music City, USA.
Cheers.
Ciao.